Hello, and welcome to a not so special edition of the Yogeez Podcast. That is right, this is the second installment where the four of us, there was three of us last time, sit down and chat about a topic. And today we're going to talk about love, because yesterday was Valentine's Day, so love is in the air, so it felt like the right topic to talk about. And with me to talk about that is Gabes. How was your Valentine's Day?
Great. Chilled, peaceful. It was mine and my girlfriend's anniversary on like 2 days before that. So we kept it. What's that for?
I know Manny did it, so I did it.
Yeah, we kept it chill.
That sounded really nice. So,
Manny, what did you do for Valentine's Day?
loved myself like
Loved
I always
yourself.
do.
Nice.
No.
Any special things you did to love yourself?
Went training, came back, cooked, had a meal by myself, with no one.
Oh,
Sad face.
we were thinking of you, mate.
I thought you guys might call me, be like, "Hello, Manny, happy Valentine's Day." But
And
yeah, Yogeez.
Ollie,
Yeah, I was alone too, but not out of choice. So sadly, my girlfriend had to go home for some personal reasons. So we still like sent each other like little video messages, appreciating each other and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, that was our like digital Valentine's Day card, which was a sweet thing to do.
very, very today.
Yeah.
What did I do? So to me, Valentine's Day isn't important, but to my girlfriend it is. So I cooked a dinner
Woo.
of steak, squid and prawns.
Oh,
Very indulgent.
Jeez.
And I got 2 roses and an I love you balloon. I went full V-Day.
You are Mr. Valentine.
Yeah, I went into this shop, right, on the way home to get the flowers and the balloon, and it was so funny. It's not a massive shop, 25, 30 people, 90% men, all just getting these very overpriced roses and balloons.
Yeah.
Got done. But it was good. I had a good evening, and yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
That's nice.
That was good.
I'd actually, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying this, I was planning to buy flowers throughout the day, but I'd forgotten to actually buy them until I was walking home. So in Shoreditch, on the phone to my mum, and I walked past this flower shop, and the queue was out of the door, and every single person was a man. And I went, "What's that for?" Oh!
That might have been the one I went to.
And then I literally had to go to about 5 shops. They were all sold out.
was
everywhere.
Nick in the queue. He just like sat there.
Yeah.
I think next year I might start a business selling
Yeah.
roses on
Yeah,
Valentine's
honestly,
Day.
I asked them, I was like, you must be killing it today. She's like, you wouldn't even believe it.
I bet.
Yogeez Flowers coming 2024.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about love, a topic that I think we're all a little bit nervous about, right?
Very.
I think so, yeah.
So we're going to start with some slightly lighter quick-fire questions, and then we'll get into some
Start with Ollie.
deeper questions. Ollie, do you want the first quick-fire?
Yeah, hit me.
How do you know when you love someone?
Oh my God. It dep-
Quick-fire?
when you get that funny feeling in your stomach and you want to spend all your time with them.
Manny?
I don't know. I'm gonna be totally honest with you.
Okay. Gabes?
That's not a quick fire question.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't know, I guess for me it would be like a sense of wanting to be of service to them, something outside of yourself.
Nice. Manny, is there a difference between being in love and loving someone, or is it the same thing?
And loving someone seems like it's a contract for life, freely. Being in love seems like it could go long or short, depending on what happens in that being in love moment. It could be forever, or it could not last. Just an expiration date.
Ollie, anything to add, or what's your view on that?
Being in love and loving someone.
Yeah.
I think being in love can happen really quickly
Mm.
because you can fall in love with like multiple things, right? So like you could fall in love with going to the gym, or I don't know, picking up like an instrument or something. I think loving someone's a lot deeper, and it like requires a lot more work and growth, conscious growth. That's probably what I'd probably add to that.
Games?
Yeah, I think there's a difference between loving someone or something and being in love. But I think maybe this is a bit more cynical, but I just think being in love is more of like a term that a phrase that we've been led to believe is more significant than anything else. Being in love, I think that it's just, for me, that's just a phrase. So there is a difference, but it's just how we word it, and we'll get into that, I'm sure. But I have a couple of problems with that, like issues with that, using that like I'm in love type thing.
Yeah.
Into that.
Yeah. Manny, have you ever looked a mate in the eye, a friend, and said, I love you?
Yeah.
Gabes?
Yes.
Ollie?
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Surprised. I thought
you?
Maybe. Yeah.
I think that's what you call loving someone, right?
Yeah.
I've never done it stone cold sober.
Yeah, that's what I was
I've
thinking.
never done it. I've never done it completely sober, no.
Yeah, I think not looking in the... I might have said, like, love you, or I love you, mate, but not looking in the eye, stone cold sober, and said...
Nah.
Not to your brother or...
Friend or mate,
Right, yeah.
rather than partner or family member.
But I think it would depend on the situation you're in with that person. You know, if you're talking about a deep conversation about something, at the end you might be like, yo, bro, I love you, man. Like, I love you. Like,
Yeah.
I got your back, kind of
You
thing.
do it in the blokey way of like not being too romantic.
Yeah.
It's like I
Have to put on the voice.
Yeah.
You can't say it in your normal voice.
Yeah.
Have to put on an accent to say, yeah, I probably would do the same. I think I have done. What are your views on Valentine's Day, Gabes?
Don't really vibe with it. I think I say that I had a lovely time yesterday. Honestly, I had a really good time yesterday.
Disclaimer.
But I think that I'm actually not one of those kind of super cynical people. But Valentine's Day is just like a commercial thing.
Yeah.
But fine, if there's a day to recognise it, great, whatever. I'm fine with it. But I don't see the significance of it.
Ollie?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Gabes, but I also love an opportunity to be a bit extra. Like I do
Love that.
I do enjoy
Love
like
that.
oh, it's Valentine's Day.
I love that.
But you know, like on a normal day, you can't be like, right, I've done all this like stuff for you and like made a massive effort. But like, I think Valentine's Day gives you a good excuse to be kind of a bit expressive with how you feel about someone. And I've always been quite expressive with the way I show someone I love them. But then I've had peaks and troughs. At the moment, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. But it's a good excuse, I think.
Manny, Valentine's Day.
Well, the term Valentine's Day is probably for the West, you know, like in other parts of the world, it's not really recognized or something, you know, they take seriously. So on that note, I'm going to drop it real easy. Valentine's Day is bullshit. I'm joking.
Are you joking? So is it bullshit or is it?
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Waste
about
of
you,
time.
Nick?
So it doesn't mean that much to me, but the idea of showing more love on a day, I think, is a good thing. As like Ollie's saying, going big. And if it means something to someone else, then I'm happy to be part of it. But I've never, you know, it's not a day that I look forward to, for example. It's kind of, I'm a bit take it or leave it.
I think it's good for a reminder that you should like, share more love and show more love. But the commercial aspect and the pressure that's put on people, let's say.
And it just bugged me yesterday going past a shop that is like the most random little shop, and they were selling roses for like 40 quid. I'm just like,
No, that is bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
I don't vibe with that. But anyway, that's a separate thing.
Yeah, roses aren't cheap.
No, they're not.
What was it? Roses are red and what?
Valentine's expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Does everyone know what love languages there are? There's 5 love languages.
I feel like I'm quite good at this.
Go on.
I've said that now.
Yeah,
I
go
get
on,
them all wrong.
Service.
Acts of service,
Correct.
words of affection or affirmation,
Correct.
You fucking know, isn't it?
quality time, or
Correct.
touch.
Correct. Last one. What do you do when you get a rose? You
Gifts, giving,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're the 5.
Yeah.
Someone
Wow.
been doing their homework, or do you?
No,
know
but
that?
I like the topic of love languages.
So
It's
do
a
I.
good topic.
What are your love languages then, or do you have? If you had to pick one or two, or,
So, but to clarify, is this what are my love languages that speak to me or that I do? Because they can be different.
speak to you.
So that I want from
Yeah,
someone.
yeah, that you want to receive. Yeah.
Acts of service
Mm-hmm.
is the biggest one for me, but it's also that's because acts of service is I think what I'm probably best at in terms of showing my love.
So that is. Do you want to just say for people who might not know
So
what
acts of service could be walking someone home. It could
Yeah.
be going to the shop without them asking and getting them something. It
Yeah.
could be cooking their favorite meal.
Giving them a massage. Yeah.
Giving them a massage,
Yeah.
but without being asked. It's generally without being asked. It's like
Yeah.
you do something because you want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably my strongest love, like the thing I'm strongest at, mainly because I'm quite poor at some other love languages.
Okay.
But so acts of service is a big one for me. And I would say actually quality time.
Quality time.
But the thing with quality time is that's like the headline, but then everyone's version of quality time looks very different.
yeah.
And it can look different within a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that actually, in fact, happens a lot with men and women. Quality time for a bloke looks really different to quality time for a girl. And understanding how to both have quality time together, but have a bit of her quality time, a bit of his quality time, that's like the key. And it's something that we're working on in my relationship, big time. And we've got lots better at is quality time is not just what you want to do, it's doing a bit of what you want to do and a bit of what they want to do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to come back to that in a bit, 'cause I think
Yes.
that's a really important point. Ollie, Manny, who wants to go next?
Do you want me to go? You're looking a bit
Nervous.
I really like kind of words of affirmation and like communication. Like, so I love talking about things and talking through things as well. And yeah, quality time is a big deal for me as well, because I think I just genuinely enjoy spending time with my girlfriend. Like, I just like, she's my best mate, so I want to hang out with her all the time. And you grow with them, and then that also leads to conversations. And the more conversations you have, if you're both conscious and aware of, you know, what a good relationship is or how to grow a good relationship, to you, obviously it's different for each couple, but if you still have the same vision, you can talk about that, then it leads to a much more sustainable relationship, I think, down the line. Because it feels like you're working on it. And also I get a big kick out of growth, whether it's in business or relationships or myself. Like that really excites me. So yeah, those are my two things.
Manny Geez.
Well. I don't know if I really believe in all of that.
Okay. What?
I mean, the last time I was in a relationship was like 3 years ago, so times have kind of changed.
This isn't. It doesn't always have to be a partner relationship as well.
It could be a friend or whatever.
Yeah, if that helps to think about it that way. Or what in the older relationship? What was it that was important to you?
Communication is key, absolutely, and creativity is key. You want to be spontaneous in relationships sometimes. You don't want to be like, because it's Valentine's Day, I'm going to buy you 100 roses.
You having a go?
Yeah, you just want to be in the moment with your partner. And, you know, I don't know, like the love language is a bit of a crazy one for me, because I tend to look at things from like my grandmother's time, where there was no horoscopes, where there was no love language.
But these are. I don't know. To me, they're quite.
These are somebody made this up, right? These five. Someone
correct. Yeah, yeah.
Someone came together and put these 5 things together. Maybe there's more than 5.
Some argue that there's 7. Yeah.
Yeah, there could be 10. So why do I have to adhere to these 5 love languages that do not resonate with me?
Yeah.
What does resonate with you? Like,
like I've said, creativity is a big part in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because after a while of dating someone, it gets a bit boring sometimes for some people. And you need to have that ability to keep on recreating within that relationship, keeping each other attentive, being there for each other, doing stuff that you haven't done before, being adventurous in your relationship. Those are the things in my eyes that keeps it pushing forward and makes it stronger. All these 5 things are the standards in my eyes.
Yeah.
Giving gift, a standard, isn't it? I mean,
but it's about what it's because what you're describing there, you just described quality time, like doing things together, recreating, doing so.
yeah,
I think the point of them, and I get you that we shouldn't religiously live by these 5 languages, but they're quite a good way of breaking down to understand like what's important to you in a relationship. And it helps in relationships as well when you understand the other person's love language. Because then, to your point, that thing about getting bored, if you understand each other's love language, and let's ignore the 5 love languages. It's more about this is important to my partner, this is important to me.
Yeah, well, standardly, it's called a relationship. 2 people are here to relate, and if you're going to be on a journey to relate to each other, then you should be open-minded in this journey that everything you go through, because everybody changes in relationship. Yeah, whether physically, mentally, or spiritually, people are going to change. But you're here to relate, and it's up to you to relate, in whatever ability you can.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So in my eyes, we've done all these 5. Another bullshit. Another bullshit.
Manny's on one today.
Yeah. Didn't get any roses yesterday. Why not? No, I'm joking. But yeah, everyone's got different ideologies on how they want a relationship to be. I just rather be.
Yeah, this is not about the relationship. It's about like what's important to you in a relationship. So I think because like what you described, for example, to me, I hear that as a lot of quality time is important. Doing things together.
Perhaps that sounds like quality time, but in general, I just go with the flow of relationship because I'm here to relate to my partner, to my friend. We're all here to relate. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Fair.
Sorry.
Interesting. No. I think it's good to hear. I think
sometimes we spend too much time trying to adhere to what society wants us to be. Valentine's Day, horoscope, love language. There's too many things, like to compare your relationship to, and that becomes a problem in the long term.
Yeah, I think. Gone.
Are you saying that ultimately you don't want to put like love or relationships in a box or categories? You'd rather just let it flow and feel it with the person in a unit?
I'm not saying being blind with it, but like once you've been with someone for a while, naturally you should be able to see where you can make changes or what's going wrong perhaps. And if you keep on having these measures that you compare your relationship to, or whether you're lacking somewhat in a relationship, it becomes harder in my eyes.
Yeah, I think just that makes sense to you because you're probably quite intuitive and you understand like the things that relationships require, but there's a lot of people out there that actually don't know like
Absolutely.
what you know, and they need the categories that Nick and Gabe's are talking about.
They can help to explain.
It makes it easier to communicate, I think.
Yeah, I actually think for relationships, and maybe this 5 love languages is throwing like actually what actually is important, I think, in this debate discussion, and that is, I think, understanding your partner is
Absolutely.
really important.
Yeah.
And so if I take my relationship, for example, we've been together 4 years, medium term, long term-ish, I guess. I guess we've got a kid together, so it's a proper serious committed relationship. And I think only recently we've had 2 couples therapy sessions in the last 2 weeks, and we've stopped because we've basically taken what we needed from it.
Yeah.
And that was understanding something about each other
Yeah.
that was like lots of different things, but one of the main things was understanding like what play meant to me and what play meant to my partner. And to me, play is different to what it meant to her. And so it's like understanding each other, because otherwise relationships can grow and grow, and like you say, people change, you can grow apart. But as long as as long as you can work on like the core things that are important for you in a relationship and them, it can like help the relationship. To your point as well, like they have to grow. Relationships have to grow or they end, to me. And so that's why this is not saying everyone should do the 5 love languages. I guess maybe to flip it and say, to me, what's really important is understanding what makes a relationship good for you and what makes a relationship good for the other person.
Again, the 5 love languages is only relatable to mostly the West and people in Europe. Aside from that, in other third world, Commonwealth country, these things do not exist, and people crack on really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you think it overcomplicates it a little bit, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on, the relationship, So, so when we speak of Valentine's Day, the 5 love languages, it's mostly relatable to, living in the Western Europe or other places in the world. They just crack on, yo.
Yeah. I mean, culturally as well, I think each country is different too.
So we have to be careful when we're trying to use this as some kind of guideline of what we might need to do in a relationship, because it's not everywhere in the world that talks the love language. People just love, like, it's just love, innit?
Yeah. Well, they're doing it, but they're not. They don't need to like label
They
it.
don't need the
They
framework.
know they work on their relationships.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Traditions.
big cultural thing. Yeah, traditions. And, for some people it works to do it. Others,
I mean,
they do it through.
Does it actually work, this 5 stuff? Does it work? Is there any, what is it?
But I don't think that, like when you say does it work, I don't think necessarily people are using it, or maybe they are, but I wouldn't use the 5 love languages as a construct for my relationship.
Absolutely.
It's like Nick said, the 5 love languages are there in order to help you better understand your approach to a relationship, and B, understand your partner's approach to a relationship, because I think that is one of the keys to a successful relationship, is understanding one another and understanding that at the end of the day, and this is something I'm really kind of believe in the truth of, is that you're partners, but you are separate people, and it would be a mistake to conflate the two of you. You're not one person. You're 2 separate people trying to exist together, right? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a massive one. And so I think, again, if we're talking, I don't want to start going down the kind of the Western construct world thing, because I think that derails the conversation a bit. But like, I think the kind of partner for life type thing, and you can be a partner for life, but I think we've got a lot of that from films, and the romantic idea of love, a lot of it comes from films,
Disney movies,
and like the forever happy ever after, all that stuff. But I think the key to a successful relationship is recognizing, just like the key, and this is not just a romantic one, but I think this is a massive part of growing up as well, and having a key to a successful relationship with your parents, to kind of change this slightly, but a loving relationship with your parents is realizing that they're just people as well. You're a person, they're a person, and you have to navigate your relationship with each other and communicate what works best for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think to add to that, what you said really made a lot of sense to me, in the sense that in a simplistic form, in a relationship, there's 3 people. There's the relationship with yourself, the relationship in itself, and there's the relationship with your partner. And you have to nurture every single one of those, and not neglect either yourself or your partner or the actual relationship itself. Because if you neglect yourself, you become, unhappy and unfulfilled, and then that will then affect your relationship, and then that will affect your partner. And if she or he is not working on themselves, vice versa. So
yeah, I think that's such an important point about independency and codependency. And one of the things that we figured out is that because of the last year we've had, becoming parents, like moving, all that stuff, we haven't had the time to invest in ourselves for then our relationship. So we actually realised in the last few days that actually what's important to our relationship is both of us getting back to kind of a good place, make sure that we're kind of thriving and happy, and then bringing that to our relationship to grow. And I think understanding what we've also done in the last couple of weeks as well is really understanding what is important to each other in a relationship. And one thing, for example, that I'm not that good at, and I think maybe I talk for most men, is being romantic and like
100%
intimacy, and there's like intimate moments, and this is definitely a cultural thing as well. When you look at people in the UK, America versus Portugal, where my partner's from, where Portuguese people are just way warmer. Do you know what I mean? So it is this this massive difference of trying to understand each other, but first like making sure that we're in a good place to then work on ourselves, but understanding like those ingredients as well that are important for both of us within the relationship. But I think the codependency, independency is something that comes up in a lot of relationships.
Yeah, I think that, and this is a bold, sweeping statement, but why not? I think that the worst place you can be, or one of the worst places you can be in a relationship, is where you're dependent on each other for your happiness.
Couldn't agree more.
I think that is the moment, and I'm sure I'm going to regret saying this, but that is the moment that a relationship becomes toxic.
Yeah.
Is when your source of happiness, or happiness is a big word, your source of contentment is reliant on something outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be a relationship. For single people, let's take single guys, for instance, as that could be football, that could be going to football, but then that's their source of contentment, and there's all sorts of problems there. But to keep it to relationships, I think that one of the hallmarks of a long-lasting, successful and happy relationship is both people in the relationship being totally at ease and comfortable and content within themselves, and bringing that to the table of a relationship. If someone brings to the table in a relationship lack of contentment, lack of the inability to be happy without someone else, that's where stuff's going to go wrong, is what I think.
I think you're spot on, buddy, because I remember years ago walking down by the Chiswick River, and there was these two old couples, and they were like, the key to having a long-lasting relationship is to be friends first and foremost, and giving each other space to grow. If you don't give each other space to grow, then it becomes like really congested in a relationship, and that's when it starts to kind of like, go wrong a little bit. But so I hear what you say in regards to, everyone it's two people in a relationship, but at the same time, the two people have to try to self-grow as well at the same time.
Yeah. I like to try and the way I like to think about it is kind of imagining that you are each other's trampoline, let's say, in a good relationship. You're each other's trampoline, and
You're very good at this.
you use each other is a strange term to use, but you use each other to springboard into other things, to catapult you into other things. But if the trampoline was taken away, you're still bouncing, you're still there. Do you know what I mean? But the trampoline is going to project you further, and that's for me the absolute necessity of a relationship. And I would say the best feature of my own relationship is that we have zero feeling of for there to be zero feeling of holding each other back, because I think in a weird way, sometimes in relationships, what feels like love, you start to hold, and you don't want to let go, and that's, relationships can get to a point where neither of them want to let go, and they think that's because we love each other and that's love. But for me, the truest or most pure form of love is to let someone go and trust that you'll let each other go and do that together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I love these games. Like, this is your topic.
You were the one who was really nervous.
I know.
Coming out with it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I love it.
Ironically, I think that I can probably talk about it, and this is exactly what Yogeez is all about. I can talk about it so much better with 3 guys than if it was just me and my girlfriend in this room.
I love it. I love it.
And
Which is crazy.
I'm learning from you. Like,
Which is crazy.
it's time to fall in love with you.
do you want to look him in the eyes? And say, "I love it"?
Yeah.
Games, I love you.
So you can't do it without a silly
Or the Jim
voice.
Carrey stuff. Maybe I'll do it afterwards.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You just described, though, what you just described is the difference between unconscious and conscious relationships.
Right.
So, like, an unconscious relationship is one where you believe that the things that you're doing, such as clinging and suffocating your partner, is love. And when you actually become conscious of the relationship that you have, you start focusing on things like, well, actually, if I let them achieve their dreams and follow their passions and become the person that they want to be, they'll love me more for that because you've enabled them.
You didn't hold them back.
Exactly,
Let
yeah.
them to be free.
Yeah, exactly. And you've enabled them to be the person that they want to be. And they will, like, their successes will be your successes. And you'll share that because you're consciously making decisions to take a step back and watch them be in the spotlight, rather than kind of thinking, well, hang on a minute, I need to be right beside them the entire time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have unconscious relationships where they don't actually think about, why am I like this? Like, what am I actually achieving? How am I helping my partner become who they want to be? Because ultimately, like, you know, you can't live your life for somebody else because you have no control over what they're going to do and if they're going to be around.
Yes,
So
very
you,
true.
you have to then start thinking, well, who am I living my life for? Well, it's ultimately me. How would I want to be treated by my partner? Do I want them to say, go to that interview, I got your back, like, I'll drive you there, or like, you know, just go and smash your presentation, rather than say, oh no, I want to, you know, kind of be there with you, or stay at home, like I'm feeling a bit upset at the moment.
Being selfish kind of thing.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah, it can come across as that. Like, without, it's unconscious selfishness. And this is something I'm working on really, really a lot at the moment, which is to try and make decisions that may not be easy for me, but are really helpful
For the relationship.
For the relationship. And sometimes it's really hard, because what you're describing, Gabes, is like a very mature relationship that I think a lot of people will struggle to achieve. And going, like, transitioning from having the unconscious relationship, which is what you have when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, you're caught up in like this type of love, which is, it's an obsession,
Yeah.
which is so unhealthy.
Like besotted obsession.
Yes, yeah. And then you grow and grow and grow, and then eventually, hopefully, you become way more conscious of what you need and what your partner needs.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something interesting about that too. Sorry, just really quickly, is like what we're all saying here is, you know, like pushing your partner and pushing yourselves as individuals to be better, to be thriving, to be happier, to have that kind of like lust for life. And maybe this is on a selfish level as well. Then you become more attractive to your partner and they become more attractive than you.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really important thing to consider in a relationship, is when your partner is doing, and we're not talking like physical attraction, we're just talking about just general attractiveness of someone. When they're thriving, when they're doing well, you will be more attracted to them. And I think that's something that's important. And maybe that's in a selfish point of view, but I think it's an important part of a relationship, being attracted to that person. So making sure that they are thriving, you are thriving, that is when we are confident and we're feeling good, we are all more attracted to our partners and they are more attracted to us.
Well, I don't know about you, mate, but I definitely want to be the most attractive person for my partner. So
we all,
I don't think it is selfish.
No, we all do. Yeah. In that way, not selfish, but in the other way, maybe it's selfish, as in we want them to be attractive. But that's the byproduct of what we're all talking about here, which is about being that person to let both of you grow in a relationship, so the relationship can grow. And I think that's what I was talking about a little bit of time ago, is what we realize is we were both a little bit stuck and we actually need to grow individually for us to be able to grow together.
Nice. Concept understanding, right?
So some deep stuff, guys. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Time for a question?
Oh, yeah.
Does someone want to ask? Or I can ask?
I've got a funny one.
Okay.
Funny one.
Funny one.
Love and funny doesn't really, does it go?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like a deep question, but it could
Go for it.
could be a bit of a laugh to hear about what you guys have done. What's the silliest thing that you've done for love? Like an act or a choice that you've made
Jesus.
because of love?
Are you going to ask first?
Well, you're giggling, so you've
Gave me away.
I'm giggling at the question, but I don't have an answer.
Me
But
neither.
if I...
Have you ever done anything a little bit out of character because you're in love with someone? It could be when you were really young, or
Yeah, I mean, I think generally when you're loved up or in love, you act irrationally. So I'm sure I have done. I mean, I'll take a recent example that isn't mad silly, but I guess whilst everyone else is thinking, I can share that. Unless Manuel Games, you have something.
I've still got to think about that.
So my current partner, Michelle, so we met in India, and
Cool.
then we had a very kind of intensely romantic holiday romance thing out there. We're in the same place for a few weeks together. Then after that, we kind of chatted. And then, I don't know if she knows this exactly. I know she knows a bit of it. And then one of my friends actually came to visit me and said, you should just go and see her in Portugal. So I was like, okay, I'm going to book flights. So then I booked flights, and then I messaged her a couple of weeks before, being like, oh yeah, I'm coming to Portugal, just pretending it was kind of randomly, only to see her.
Yogeez.
I'm coming to Lisbon for 5 days. I hope you're around. And then I also sneakily, this bit I don't think she does know, sneakily did a bit of research where she, like, not where she lives, but like the area where she lives, and I got a place to stay near there. So that is
smart.
That's beautiful. I mean,
Yeah, that's nice.
you knew what you wanted and you went for it. So
that is an example. I guess not so silly, but a recent one I can think of.
This is really romantic, actually.
yeah, very. I like that.
That made me realise, and this is probably, I couldn't say this was for love, because this was at the very start of us meeting, but a silly thing that I've done to continue a relationship, let's say, and again with my current partner, and she knows this. We met at my work, but we met for a long time, and the first part of our meeting it was because I worked at a desk. It was very fleeting, like we'd just say hi and bye and like chat, and it was nothing. And it was before lockdown. Never exchanged details. We just knew each other's name. Anyway, lockdown happened. She's from Spain, so she'd gone back to Spain, and it was like midway through the first lockdown. And I was obviously bored one day, and I remember thinking, oh, I wonder what she's up to. Searched on Instagram, found her, followed her. But she was she wasn't private. Followed her. Didn't get anything back. No follow, no nothing. Oh. But like I said, we were at no stage at this point, so I was like, didn't really think about it. Thought whatever. And then this was so then like another 8 months later, God knows when, after one of the lockdowns, back at work, and she comes in, and it's like I said, it's like a long time later. She comes in, and we're both like, oh my God, haven't seen you in ages. Blah blah blah. Have a nice chat, and it's really good. She then goes upstairs, go back on Instagram, unfollow her again. And she follows me straight back, literally like 5 minutes later. And literally from there.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
You guys.
You are moving alike.
Yeah. Moving mad, though.
Yeah, moving mad. Love it. Madly in love. All right.
Manny, have you got anything you want to share?
I was really trying to think of something while you two was talking. But I don't think I have anything worth sharing, to be honest with you.
It's interesting how you guys have both kind of made these big gestures to pursue the women that you're after. I wonder if that's like a classic blokey thing to do.
Sounds like it.
That's actually the first time I've because while you were talking, I was cycling back through memories, and I was gonna think of something when I was a teenager and much more like obsessed and infatuated type thing, but I just couldn't think of anything. So.
Yeah. My memory, I don't think can go back to those years.
Oh, mine can. Yeah, mine can.
So you've obviously got one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this isn't why I asked the question, but as you guys were talking, I was thinking, what's like a good mature thing to speak about? But all I could think about was the time when I was 15 and I was in my first proper relationship, and I got a text from my girlfriend saying, oh yeah, come over, like my parents are away. I thought, right, this is it, like it's happening, right? So I put on my rollerblades, because that's how we moved around in these days. And I rollerbladed over to her house, and she couldn't like let me in because her parents had come back early. So I had to sneak in over the back gate and climb up the trellis at the back of her house. And they had a dog.
Jeez.
It was this golden retriever. And I remember like I had my rollerblades on, and I was like, I took them off and I'd throw them over like the fence, climbed over the fence, got to the back garden, and I was like, looked at the trellis and I thought, yeah, I can make that. And she'd opened a window, just like, come on. And I'm climbing up to try and get to her, and her dog starts barking like absolute mad, and her parents are like, turn the light on, just like, is there someone out there? Like, and I'm like halfway up there, like their trellis, just like shit. And they came out and they saw me, and they're just like, who the hell are you? Like, what are you doing? And I had to explain, I'm your daughter's boyfriend. I was like,
no.
and that was the first time I'd met her parents. And,
Great first impression.
yeah. And I just remember like I did that just because I was like so, as you said, like besotted and obsessed. Just because I was like young and I had, you know, didn't really have an idea of what I was doing. I was just doing it because I had those feelings. But yeah, so that's a bit of a silly story, I suppose, in comparison to your very romantic, mature decision.
That was a really good story. In your life on the line. That's
Your life on the
that's
climbing
amazing.
in rollerblades.
It's true love, isn't it? You know,
True fucking love.
yeah, giving a parachute to your other half.
In fairness, and this is, I don't want to kind of switch it straight to something serious, but it's what I wanted to say earlier, and you touched on it there, or we both touched on it then, is I do think that in relationship love, obsession and infatuation with the idea of someone or the idea of what you two could be is mistaken for love. And that is definitely down to popular culture and movies and books and all that stuff, but also it just seems to be a phenomenon that we have, is that, and I say this because when I was younger, did that a lot. Not even that much younger, but a bit younger, was obsessed with that person. But what I was obsessed with was not my love for them, but was obsessed with the idea of what we would be or what they are. Do you know what I mean? I think we tend to, in life and particularly in relationships, we tend to put things and people into boxes that fit our narrative. Do you see what I mean? We put someone in a box of, even if it's subconscious, that they tick all these things, they're this person, and we're obsessed with that. And we mistake that for being I've done that growing up, mistook that for being totally in love with someone. But now when I look back on it, it was ridiculous. That wasn't love. That was just an infatuation. And I think that's a common mistake that people make in relationships, and that's often why they can fail at the first hurdle after like 3 months, because you spend the first 3 months infatuated and obsessed with the idea of this person. Then after 3 months, you start to get to know them, or you see something that you don't really like, and you're like, oh, I didn't buy into that. I wasn't. Do you know? You both do that. That's not just me. You both. I didn't buy into that, and so then that's why that can happen.
So it's 3 months, the gap time, and then we getting to know people. Once it's 3 months and you see something you don't like, it's time to get your skates on. Or
I just think that it's a really good test of
so within
love
3 months.
and knowing someone, no matter what the time is, being able to see something in them that you don't really like, being okay with that.
Yeah, I think a really good piece of advice is allow somebody the time to show themselves to you, and cautiously trust them, because without trust, obviously, there's nothing. But give them the time to show themselves.
How long are you allowing them to show themselves?
As long as it takes. Like, I think that it depends how serious you are.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are certain things that, are absolute no-goes, like emotional abuse. And if you don't know what emotional abuse is, you should probably, look it up, because I think there's a lot of subtle ways of doing that. But yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I mean, I'm happy giving maybe 6 months to give it a good amount of time to actually see who they truly are. And a lot of people open up at slower rates. Like a lot of people, like I'm very open. Like I'm myself pretty much within the first month, but other people are very slow to open up and show them themselves.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of the time you even see this in marriages. As you said earlier, actually, you said people grow and change.
Yep.
And not many people expect that to happen, but it's going to happen.
That's my thing, Ollie. Like when you get into a relationship, people change physically, mentally, financially. So when you make this, I wouldn't call it a contract to be in a relationship with someone. When you enter this journey, you have to be open-minded. And I sometimes feel like people are not open-minded. They just see the infatuation of being with that person. But you need to know that a relationship is a journey. Like you said, 3 months you might see something you don't like. You seeing something you don't like might be your state of mind, because maybe another 2 years down the line you might be like, oh, actually that wasn't so bad from that person. It was just me. I wasn't in the right frame of mind. So we need to really understand relationships. I think, if you're going to get into it, be open-minded. What's going to happen? There's going to be change. There's going to be changes. There's going to be evolution. There's going to be devolution. Someone out of the two in a relationship will end up doing better than the other person within a certain amount of time. Then how do you cope with that? Things will change. So, I guess.
And I'd say don't be scared of that. I'd say it's a really good thing, and it's communicate the entire time. Like, don't stop communicating. Like, talk about everything.
Yeah.
Because if you can't talk about everything with your partner, who can you speak about it with?
But people are very edgy these days. They like to. I wouldn't call it playing games, but I don't know. It seems like in modern society, it's kind of like some kind of games going on with relationship or getting to know people, where people kind of like holding back and not really try to be open, because you're in a relationship. The whole point is that for you to relate, you have to be open. But people are trying to hold back for I don't know. It seems like it's a game. But so when you apply the concept of a game to a relationship, you're going to end up losing eventually, one way or the other. You lose to yourself and you lose that person. So it's always best that you be free in a relationship and don't be scared of what's going to happen. If you're going to get your heart broken, it's going to get broken. Doesn't matter. When it comes to it.
To that point, and this was one of the questions that I had, have you or has anyone ever been scared of loving?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I still am.
And why is that?
This is the question that I ask myself, and we ask in our relationship all the time, I think. For me, I think maybe it's a man thing, or maybe it's something in my growing up. I haven't done enough work to know that yet. But fear of loving for me is like tied into a fear of letting go and a fear of losing control. And that is a theme that throughout my life is losing control. That I'm like being scared of losing control of a situation or myself. And I think I probably wrongly associate love with a loss of control over how you feel. And so I think I have a tendency to shy away from that because I don't want to be out of control.
Yeah.
Which is I think it is a masculine thing. I think that is related, like a masculine thing. If we crave to be on top of things and to be in control. And essentially, I think for me, I'm battling with this thing of, but letting go, being in love and letting go is losing control.
Yeah.
Another way to describe what you're saying is letting go is the same as being vulnerable, right? So
yes,
I think for most men, it's quite scary to be vulnerable just in general.
Yeah.
But to properly love, you have to be vulnerable, because loving something or loving someone more specifically is it's a vulnerability, because you can't love someone properly without showing every side of you. And everyone has a side to them that they're not proud of. Everyone has a side to them that they don't want to share, and they probably haven't shared in a lot of cases. But once you are vulnerable and once you share that side of you and every part of you with your partner, that's how you get a mature relationship.
Yeah.
And I think you're completely right. So like being vulnerable is letting go. And it's not letting go of anything in particular other than just the fact that you have to trust somebody with every single part of you, which is so hard to do.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point. And for me, when I've been scared of loving in the past, I think it's for two main reasons. One is that point you just mentioned about all the parts to ourselves. You know, someone really going to love the whole of me, because we've, like you're saying, we've all got our closets. We've all got kind of the dark side to our personality, and you know, things that we're working on, things that trouble us. So I think that has always been something that has worried me. And then also the fear of, because love is the most intense feeling that we can get. In at least for me, like love, there's nothing more powerful than it. And so on the flip side, being heartbroken is one of the most powerful things you can go through. And I think there have been times and it's normally we all know that stage in the relationship when it kind of goes from the honeymoon period to the, okay, this is getting a bit more serious. I think I love this person. And it's at that stage there where I get the fear of, am I good enough? You know, is this going to end in heartbreak? And it's something that I've definitely controlled more now, or kind of in the last part of my life, of being able to control it more. But when I was younger, and that, especially when you go from that besotted stage to the whatever that next stage might be, I was terrified of heartbreak. And now I can control it. But I think all of us, I think it's human to be worried about heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to affect me a lot more, and it used to definitely hold me back from loving completely and being completely vulnerable and putting myself out there.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm a massive believer in doing hard things, right? Like, do hard stuff. I love that phrase. Just do hard stuff.
Yeah.
Do stuff that you don't want to do every day
Yeah.
for various reasons, right? But what I tend not to apply that to is what you just said, is like heartbreak is something hard.
Yeah.
And so if you go through it at whatever age, even if you, like we were talking about when you're younger or whatever, I think that still really sticks with you, and it's definitely stuck with me. And the easier thing to do is to withdraw. Do you know the easier thing to do because
heartbreak is really, really
sucks.
Shit. It sucks.
And
there's no getting around it.
And so to open yourself up to the possibility of heartbreak is fucking hard.
Yeah.
And so it's much easier on a day-by-day basis to just go, nah. Even if it's nah. Do you know what I mean? And that's something I think I struggle with a lot, is taking the easy option, which is strange because I'm such a believer and in taking the hard option and doing hard stuff. But that is one arena in which I just seem to take the easy option.
Do you know what's really interesting? So I said that we did couples therapy recently, did a couple sessions, and they helped a lot. We got the clarity we needed. I was chatting to some mates on the weekend about it. There's 4 of us, and 2 of them were like, oh no, I couldn't do couples therapy. I was like, we don't need it. I was like, but why? It's like quite a healthy thing to do anyway. Like therapy, couples therapy is a good thing to do. They're like, no, it would just be bad for us. And to me, I took that. I hope they're not listening. I took that, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I read it as them being scared of actually being completely vulnerable and talking about. And don't get me wrong, I was that person 7-8 years ago where I found it hard to go deep in a relationship, maybe a bit longer than that, but really talk about what's going on, what's important to me, what's important to them. So it's tough. Like, it's tough to fully open yourself every aspect of it.
I don't know if I've ever been scared to open up myself when it comes to love, because I don't see it coming. In my past relationship, it's always been like the girl would be like, oh yeah, I like you, where we going next? I'll be like, okay, you're cool. Let's see how this pans out. So obviously you spend more time with them. Then you'll be like, oh, okay, I can work at this. Then gradually love might start to grow on you. But the way I look at things perhaps is that when you learn to love the world at large, you're right, you will find a greater love within anything you do, whether it be a relationship. And loving the world at large gives you strength to do with everything you want to do with. Like,
for sure, but just quickly, that's what we're saying about individuals, but to love someone and who's not like a family member, to me at least, takes a bigger step of vulnerability.
It depends how you look at it, because the only time we love is like when we're in a relationship, or family members perhaps, but that should not be the only time you love. Love is undefined, it's like unlimited.
Sure.
So when you learn just to love as a human being and just love as a person, such things will not really worry you if you're gonna get heartbroken or not, because you're out there with your love. Like, what can the person do to you? Break your heart?
Have you ever been heartbroken?
Well, looking back in hindsight,
Like properly heartbroken?
I thought I was heartbroken, but it was more of a new beginning kind of thing. Like, it was more of a time for me to look at myself and look at my journey in life. in regards to women perhaps, and be like, how can I improve myself? Because most times when people have failed relationship, people don't take time off to do self-assessment. People just jump into the next relationship without having to think about.
That is so true.
Yeah, you don't think about where it takes two to tango. Might I say orange and the mango? Yeah.
So have you ever loved a partner?
Because I haven't loved myself during that period, and I haven't loved the world the way I should have, I don't think I've ever loved a partner. But now I'm in a different phase in my life where I try to understand things a bit more. And I realized the more you are just open with yourself, the more you're free with yourself, like it's easier to love and not to expect too much for love, because love is every man's birthright. You know, we're meant to love. It's nothing unique. It's common practice. So we've made it into something unique, something tangible, you know. So when, like I said, when you apply a lot of things to love, this is what you get. But hey, love the world at large, then you will be okay.
I think you've gotten to that level of just acceptance that a lot of people are trying to get to. And when Gabe's was talking about how it was the do hard things and how you don't apply that to like the loving and that side of things, I thought, well, the only way you can really truly love someone is accept that because you get the ultimate privilege of feeling so in love with someone, it also comes with the fact that
the jeopardy.
It can, it's a risk. Loving someone is a massive risk because you can get your heart broken and it hurts so much.
Yeah.
But if you accept that and you just tell yourself, you know what, like, I think it's worth it. Like, I'd rather risk feeling how amazing it is to like be in love at the expense of, yeah, maybe I will get my heart broken.
Yeah.
Is it worth the risk? If it is, then go for it. And if it isn't, then you need to work on yourself and make sure that you're happy loving just life in general first and yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, then yeah, how are you supposed to love another human being? Because you don't know how to. Because loving yourself should be the first thing that you do, and yet not many people manage it. I mean, myself included. It's really hard.
I mean, here's the thing, right? So I've come to this understanding, basically, you know, they say blood is thicker than water, but you need water to survive, don't you? So even though with family members, whatever, although they're my family members, doesn't mean that I have to love them more than I love my friend. I can love a friend more than I love my family member, because everything's, it's interaction, it's experiences, it's emotions, isn't it? So, you know, it depends how you see love, basically.
I agree.
Yeah, love can be very different, and unconditional love, I think, is so rare, and I've never felt it apart from for my daughter.
That's what a lot of parents say.
And yeah, and I maybe it is possible to love someone, like when you actually think about what conditional and unconditional love means.
Yes.
I think it's really hard to ever unconditionally love someone. And when you become a parent, fuck, that changes. They can annoy the fuck out of you. They can keep you up all night and you will literally love them no matter what. Whilst even when we talk about our parents, our partners, like, you know, they do stuff to piss off us, and you know, all the, but with a kid, it is different. And I kind of, what you were saying, Ollie, I almost think it's a really good way to end this pod about the most important thing. And what I think, what we've, to be honest, a common theme that I've got from all of us is that to give love and to receive love, you have to love yourself. And you cannot properly give or receive love if we don't love ourselves and work on ourselves. And I just think that is such an important message to get across. So to me, that feels like a good place to end. And I also think we've all said it in different ways, interestingly as well. I think you've said it in a different way to Ollie. Ollie said it in a different way to Gabe's. And maybe me and Gabe's are a bit more similar from what I'm hearing. But I think we've said it in different ways. And that to me feels like the important thing. And the important thing about love is love yourself, work on yourself, be happy with yourself. And then your ability to give and receive it
But I have
will
a
be far
question.
greater.
I have a question though.
Go on.
For the sake of love,
Yes.
how do you define love?
Who wants to go first?
I can go for it if you want. Do you want like a deep or a short?
We could do
What a quick
do both.
one sentence.
Quick fire paragraph or something.
Okay, so it's really hard to do it in a short way, but I see love as people bringing light into your life. If you think of living as like a dark box, you're born and the first light you see are your parents. People will enter your life bringing light. They'll leave your life making it darker, but they will have brought that light in for a certain amount of time. You will then meet, and I think everyone does this maybe once in their life, you'll meet that special person. They will make your light go crazy. That you'll never experience that before. And your light that you produce yourself will also start getting a lot more. Then you'll have kids, and then the rest is history, because you'll be their light, right? And that's, I think, how I look at it in a kind of visual sense.
Ooh, that's nice.
I would rather end it on that. I think you couldn't have worded it better.
Are you just trying to escape the question?
Yeah,
you are.
Not
Really
at
trying
all.
to
I just
escape.
think that- I just
Go,
think that's-
One
Go
line,
on,
guys.
Gabe,
One
go.
line.
Give us a-
2 lines. Love the line.
It's hard to find the words.
It's hard to find the
Because
words.
his emotions, that's why.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Leave it at.
I can go and you can think.
yeah.
So I don't have a beautiful story like Ollie, because that was so nicely put. But to me, love is the purest, most intense, most beautiful emotion feeling that we have as humans. And I think it makes us think, act irrationally. I think it makes us act not normal love. And I think the way Ollie put it about the light and your growing of light, but it's kind of like this thing that just, it's so pure, but when it grows, it just grows and grows and grows, and it's so hard to put into words, to be honest. Like, it's the intense, powerful, beautiful emotion.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that love is, and I sort of said it at the start a little bit, but when you can so completely and truly and wholly put someone or something before yourself with no thought for yourself, if that makes sense, because I think humans are by nature selfish beings, and like that's how we've thrived, and that's normal. That's totally that's a whole other podcast, but that's a totally normal thing to want the best for oneself. But I think love is truly putting someone before yourself without any consideration for yourself.
Go on then, Manu.
Well, me.
Finish it off.
Do I get to answer?
Yeah.
Oh,
When
gee.
you asked the question, you've been planning this.
I loved your explanation, by the way.
Yeah.
Love just. I was trying to think. So, for me, I think love is like a cottage in the countryside, and the front door is the entry. Once you enter, there's so many dimensions in this house. There's different rooms that do different things, and depending on the people that dwell within this property or this cottage, will influence the energy and the dynamic of that house. So love has many emotions. It's undefined. There's so many levels. But we just tend to use the word love as it's the alpha and the omega. But there's so much from love that I think we have yet to discover. because we've been limited with our understanding of it. So love is like a cottage. Open the door, so many dimensions of
Limitless.
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, love that.
Love is limitless.
Absolutely love that.
Amazing. I mean, for a topic that we were a little bit nervous about at the beginning, I think that has been a really fucking great chat.
Mm-hmm.
So well done. Thank you, Ollie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Games. And if you're listening or watching and you would like to send in what you think love is, then send it to nick@yogeezers.com. Also, we'll be doing another one of these in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. So if there's a topic that you'd like us to talk about or any questions, again, send it to nick@yogeezers.com. And for now, take it geezy.